A lot of people think that the new Apple MacBook Pro 14-inch and MacBook Pro 16-inch are supremely overpriced for the hardware that you're getting. And as someone that bought into the Apple M silicone ecosystem recently, I wanted to give you guys what my raw reactions were, because 4.5, 5 months ago, I was in the market to get a new Windows laptop, and I ended up not getting a Windows laptop, but getting a Mac Mini M1 with 16 gigabytes of RAM. Now, I went through and I shopped around with all of the different Windows laptops currently on the market. I really wanted to try to get the best bang for my buck possible, and my benchmark for video editing was the Apple M1 chip. I wanted something that was going to be able to compete on Windows with the performance that people are getting with the M1 chip. My prior laptop was a Dell XPS 9560. The laptop I had before that was a 9550 that had the Intel Core i7-7700HQ, a GTX 1050 Ti, and 32 gigabytes of RAM, along with a 512 gigabyte SSD. At the time, it was a really top of the line computer when I bought it. And ultimately, I wanted something that was going to be able to compete and be better than it for a couple years. Now, before you guys call me an Apple lover, an Apple shill, this is my daily driver phone. It's a Samsung Galaxy S20 FE. This is a Xiaomi Mi Pad 4 running a custom ROM. And this is a Redmi Note 10 Pro. The only piece of Apple hardware that I currently own is my computer. I am not an Apple fan. I was going to get the Asus Zephyrus G14, and then I looked at getting the G15. Both of those devices with a Ryzen 7 and an RTX 3050 card in every single video rendering benchmark that I could find. And keep in mind, this is video rendering, not real world timeline performance, which is one of the places that the M1 chip has kind of shined in all of the reviews and comparisons that I've seen, and even firsthand. But I'm going to be doing a comparison between the Ryzen 7 RTX 3050 and my Mac Mini M1 in a couple days. One of my friends has one. We were going to do some head-to-head video rendering stuff to test it out for myself. But from all of the reviews I read, from all of the benchmarks I could see, it seemed like where the Ryzen 7 RTX 3050 combo was lining up in a laptop was right at that 16 gigabyte Mac Mini M1 configuration. Now, this is what I figured. Right now, if the best configured laptop that I could get for, let's say, under $2,000 is going to be something, at least here in Vietnam, I should mention, because prices here are maybe 15%, 18% higher for Windows computers. But for me, I wanted to get the Asus Zephyrus G14 Ryzen 7 RTX 3050, which was going to be essentially pound for pound the same amount of performance I was going to be able to get out of the Mac Mini M1. That laptop is 41 million VND, which converted into freedom dollars is right around like $1,600, $1,700. That laptop gets battery life, doesn't have a webcam, and unless you're going to spec it for the QHD display, you're left with either a high refresh 1080p display or a high pixel density 4K display, possibly, but don't hold me to that. It's been a while since I've looked at these laptops. Now, if I wanted to get a laptop that was going to be spec'd higher than that, I'm over here speaking because my mic's over here. Sorry. By the way, do I sound good with this new mic that Fine Mics sent me? Let me know in the comment section. So the Asus Zephyrus G14 Ryzen 7 RTX 3050 was at kind of the same level as the Mac Mini. I then looked at getting the Ryzen 9 RTX 3060 device. That device cost closer to $2,000, $2,200, and that device benchmarks higher than that. Now they make a Zephyrus G15 with a Ryzen 9 RTX 3070 and possibly also a 3080. Both of those devices are much closer to $3,000. They are of a similar size and weight, although they are bigger, thicker, and heavier than the new MacBook Pros. And those laptops on paper and in benchmarks were more powerful than the prior Mac M1 chip, but with the kind of advancement we've seen in the new M1 Pro and M1 Max chips, we're expecting to have a substantially bigger jump in performance, and the Ryzen 9 3060 configurations were pretty close. 3070, 3080 configurations, obviously faster, but with what Apple's doing now with their unified memory, being able to work on big visual projects that have a lot of video RAM and have a lot of video content that's being held in RAM, means that ultimately we could get significantly, like catastrophically higher performance out of these chips for specific applications. Now, in benchmarks, are you the not Apple fan? I'm not even an Apple fan, the not Apple user. In just pure raw benchmarks, are you guys going to see where the new Apple Silicon is going to kind of jump ahead of a high specs Windows machine? And the answer is no. But for people that do creative workflows, creative processes like myself and like millions of other people around the world, things like the new video encoding decoding engine on the M1 Pro and the dual video encoding and decoding engine on the M1 Max are a huge deal. And these chips are going to allow for video editors to do multi-stream of 4K, 8K, 4K 60, 4K 120, 4K 120, H.265, H or 222 compression, color sampling, color compression, which is incredible. And essentially Apple, for video content creators, for Hollywood movie makers, for anyone doing stuff with a camera, they've essentially given everyone a new workhorse. And these workhorses are thin, light, with incredible battery life and great high refresh rate, high pixel density displays. Now, could you get some chonky, thick gaming laptop that gets 2 hours of battery life when plugged in, doesn't have the same performance on battery as it does plugged in, that will render a video faster? For sure. There for sure is going to be some Windows laptops for some people that have significantly better performance. But if you need to have a laptop to travel, to go places, the fact of the matter is that these new MacBook Pros are in a league of their own. And that's before we even talk about build quality, component longevity, warranty. Like if I buy it in America and I travel to Dubai and I have an issue with my laptop, can I go somewhere to get it fixed? Because with the Asus Zephyrus, maybe, but I know that I could with Apple. Here in Vietnam, if I buy my laptop in America, come back to Vietnam and I have a problem with it, I mean, it's just an incomparable thing. And really, for people that don't think it's worth it, you have the MacBook Air and you have the MacBook Pro 13-inch with the same SoC that my Mac Mini has, and I'm able to crush 4K video doing like YouTube style workflow stuff here, super easy, and my user experience with it is phenomenal. So, are most people going to need the power of these Apple MacBook Pros? No. At the same time, how many people are buying an Asus Zephyrus G15 with an RTX 3080 or 3070? How many people are going out and buying the new Dell XPS 15 or Dell XPS 17 with the Core i9 and RTX 3070? I think that's what's available on the XPS. And the answer is not that many people. So to think that this is a product for the average consumer, super silly. This is a product for professionals in music, professionals in 3D content creation, professionals in coding, professionals in video content, and people like myself. So I think that it's great. It's an awesome product offering. It's expensive, but when I need to buy it once I've relocated to America, that's going to be a business expense because I'll have my LLC and I'll be able to write stuff off for taxes because it's a tool that I need for my job. And ultimately, that's what a lot of other professionals are buying the device for, at least professionals in the realms that Apple is shooting at. If you guys want to go ahead and get yourself a external hard drive holder, which my company TechFluent makes, I'll have a link for it in the description down below on Amazon USA. If you guys are outside of Amazon, I'm working on getting something set up with drop shipping because ultimately I lost a bunch of photos when I dropped my hard drive, and I have this product to prevent you guys from dropping your hard drives. Peace.